All right, and we are live. It's Dr. Nashawn Nix, CEO of the First Coast Leadership Foundation, right here in Jacksonville, Florida. Our mission is simple: to help shift our city streets from battlegrounds to playgrounds. Today, for our Empowerment Men's Conference, our goal is to empower boys to be men and men to be mentors. We have some great panelists on tonight, and our topic for tonight is a safe space for Black men. I heard a guy say one time is that the only person in America that's not entitled to be their authentic self is the Black man. And Carter G. Woodson also talks about the duality of the Negro. Some use the term house Negro, some folks use the term field Negro, and trying to be your authentic self for your personal self as well as for your family and community. So today we're going to be talking about some great topics we're looking at leadership. What does leadership look like in our city and abroad? We're also going to look into topics pertaining to professional development. We're also going to look at mental health and physical health. And we got some great panelists, and I'm going to take a moment right now to jump right in when it comes to leadership. And I'm going to ask Mr. Khalifa, how you doing on tonight?
Man, I'm doing wonderful. Doing wonderful. Right. How about you?
Listen, well, my father says I'm on the top shelf because I can't fit nowhere else. Councilman Freeman, how you doing on tonight, sir?
I'm doing well, sir. Out here at the baseball field and spending some good time with some good people, man. So looking forward to our discussions.
Yes. And for you gentlemen, either one of you can jump in first. What does leadership look like to you?
Well, I think leadership is really being able to lead a group of like-minded individuals and also being able to listen to what people have to say to better the cause. Leadership also has to create a goal, be clear of the goal, and have individuals be empowered by your actions and your facilitating to actually lead the group. Now, it doesn't matter which situation is. And in this forum, I know we were talking about young Black males being leaders. One of the best ways to be leaders is, to follow some of those individuals inside your communities that are doing leadership, that are in leadership roles. Use them as mentors or so.
Yeah. And Councilman Freeman, what does leadership look like for you?
I think Mr. Khalifa's dead on. To me, I remember a coach telling me that leaders are not born, they're made. And for me, it was taking those lessons that I learned on the field, and it's really helped shape me in this political arena. Things like being an active listener, taking ownership of my mistakes, learning from them and not repeating them, treating everyone with the respect they are due as wonderfully creations of God. I believe in, and I tell you this all the time, that leadership is a continual learning process. You never stop learning how to be a better leader. And I love how he talked about mentors, because they're mentors that I have now, like Sheriff Nat Glover and many others who take time out of their busy schedules to sow into me. So those areas I think are really vital. The biggest thing is just being an active listener.
Yeah. And now, when did it click for you, Councilman Freeman? Like, you know what? I'm fulfilling my purpose and my leadership role. Like, was there an age where it's like this clicked? I know that you had an array of experiences from baseball to your current role in the city. But what was that turning point for you?
I would say my journey is a little different. Son of a preacher, and mom was a social worker. So I grew up in a house filled with people waking up every day to serve. And for me, when it clicked was when I chose myself to go down this path of service. And I found no greater feeling than waking up every morning to go out and to help others. I started noticing that the more I served, the more I gave, the more I was blessed with, the more people started following me. And so it was one of those deals to where really trying to take that attention off of me, that focus off of me, and putting it on those who God has placed me in leadership of, and putting their thoughts and their needs before mine at times. And to me, that's when it all really started clicking, which is to put others before me.
And Khalifa, what about you? I mean, like I said, I follow you, former teacher of the year. Congratulations on that. Like, what was that turning point for you? What did that look like?
Actually, to be honest, it's a real quick story. I do 5,000 role models, and while I was in 5,000, yeah, so I was the site director for 5,000 role models at Westside High School. And talking about mentors, one of my mentors, who was the assistant principal at the time, he was assisting me with 5,000 role models. He wasn't assigned to it. He was just have a passion to assist young Black males. And we were voting for president of the 5,000 role models. And many of the students were not willing to run for president in 5,000. And he doesn't even know the story. He probably going to watching this live now. But so he, after the meeting was done, he looked around and he pulled me to the side. He said, "Can you see that?" He said, "Not one student wanted to be the leader or the president of 5,000 role models." He said, "That is the problem. Many of our next generation is taking the back seat and not wanting to be in leadership roles." And when he said that, it seemed like he was talking to me. Later on, we had a discussion with the students, and we end up, getting a leader after having a heart-to-heart talk. But at the same time, I looked at myself, said, "Okay, I've been in education for about 13 years, but I've never, put myself out there to actually lead or inspire." And that's when I was given that opportunity to be the teacher of the year. I took that year with a lot of passion. I took that year in trying to help all the other teachers, trying to help new teachers, trying to help students, try to be in more activities, which is all leadership role. It seemed like that I was maybe doing a little more than I was asked for, but that's what leaders do. You have to do a little more than what you're asked and create expectations. So once that happened, I think my colleagues all saw a different side of me. But no one knew that it came from that conversation. When I'm looking at students that look just like me and nobody wants to take a role. And I felt bad asking them to do something that I wasn't even doing myself.
All right, I'm gonna do this right here.
Be,
you know how people be snapping at poetry things? I'm snapping, not because you got to stop, but because that's good stuff right there.
Yeah. So, so that's what motivated me to go out and do a little bit more, helping the principal, helping the assistant principal, staying after school a little later, working the buses, and that right there, I needed to show all my other students that you have to do a little bit more than what you asked for. And that right there will inspire others, and leaders inspire others to do better.
Yes.
I love that. And can I just piggyback the one?
Go ahead. I was coming back to you anyways, but go ahead.
The biggest formula that I love to share with people is three things, especially if you want to be an effective leader. One, you have to love people. Two, you have to have a heart to serve. And three, love God. And if you have those three qualities, in my opinion, you are equipped with foundations to really set off on this journey of leadership.
Yes. Councilman Freeman, you mentioned Nat Glover earlier, and I had a chance to actually meet him and have a healthy dialogue. And he said the way that I became sheriff is because I earned the trust of my peers, and my peers felt like I did a job so well that they wanted me in leadership. And like he kind of changed my scope on how I want to serve people. I want to serve my peers to a point that, and I'm not trying to be selfish, but it's like, I got it. Thank you for that, because I never looked at it like that. Like, your peers are the ones who endorse you. Your peers are the ones who are going to put that fire behind you. And he kind of changed the scope of what we would call servant leadership. And that's one of the models for the First Coast Leadership Foundation. We take the pyramid and we flip it. So basically, instead of the people serving the leader serves the people. And Sheriff Glover really helped shape my scope. And Councilman Free, I want to give you one more question before we move to our next topic. And I'm gonna say from my lived experience, one of the things I noticed as a young Black male, and I'm considering myself, I'm teeter-tottering at 40, right? So it's always wait your turn. Wait your turn. Know your role. Know your place. And it's not necessarily from other nationalities. It's within our own nationality per se. And have you ever heard anything like that before? And how do you handle that? Like, wait your turn. Wait your turn. It's not your time.
No, that is a common theme, especially in the political arena. There are many people who have been around this space and they feel that their longevity qualifies them to rise to this point of leadership and at this particular moment. My response to them is always one, respectful, but two, I always say that one, God has placed this fire in my belly to serve, and He has set my ship on course, and I am purposed to get this message out to people. It's the people's decision. And what I kind of pivot to is, when you look at elections, everyone wants to make it you right versus left, or Republican versus Democrat, or Terrence versus Nashawn. What I tell them is, no, there is one seat, and we're both vying for that opportunity to sit in it and serve. And so I'm really trying to remove that personal aspect from it. It's not personal and against anyone who's running for that same seat. It's more about we're running and chasing that opportunity for leadership. So I dispel that myth. I think that when you're ready to lead, you're ready to lead. And the more you can get out and share your message, and I tell everyone, do it, and let the voters decide.
Yes. Thank you. All right. So due to time, we're going to shift out from leadership, and we can always trail back if we have more time at the end. But thank you, Mr. Khalifa. Thank you, Councilman Freeman. And we're going to shift over to something I think is very important, which is finances and financial wealth and building wealth. And with that being said, I want to introduce our next two guests, Mr. Vaughn Winman and Mr. Dante Jennings. How y'all doing on tonight?
Good.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, I feel like Kevin Samuels. Not all the way. I feel like it just a little bit. Because it's hard out here. And I was told no finance, no romance. What's really going on? Talk to me. What do we do? What do we do as Black men to help build that generational wealth, or even make acquisitions? What I can't wait to hear this. Talk to us.
Well, I certainly can dive in. First off, like everything else, it starts with a mindset, and really changing our mindset of what money is. And I think we've used it more as like a destination, and we lost sight of like it being like a utility, it being a tool that we use. So like a quote that I heard is that, most people love money and use people, when it should be the other way around. So it's really changing that. I think focus on using money as a tool, the utility of it, the functionality of it. And that goes with where it starts, changing how we interact with money, even with our kids. And like think about chores, tying money to chores. That's something to do. And then we get in this loop of always trading our time for money. And then that's hard to break once we get older. So I would probably say the first part of it is certainly changing that mindset, and that, it's a tool that for us to wield and use to really get ourselves to a better position and everybody else to a better position. So I'll start there.
Absolutely.
Yes. And Mr. Vaughn, talk to us.
Yeah. So
Teach the people.
So I second exactly what Dante said, but I will say this. So a lot of people say health is wealth, but I'm gonna flip it. I think wealth is health. And so to Dante's point, I think education is a huge focus, and it should be in the African American community, because there's disparities in wealth gaps amongst African Americans and other nationalities that are out there. I think it starts at a very, very young age of how we teach our children finances from a very school age of how to count, of what credit is. That's extremely important. And most importantly, small business. I think small business is a huge sector of our economy, not only from a national standpoint, from a local standpoint. So empowering our youth of education, not being afraid of finances, not worrying about what mama did, what daddy did, but how can I create substantial wealth for myself? And what does that look like for me in the future? And that could be as simple as a savings account. That can be as simple as setting up a direct deposit. But that education piece is something that's critically important in our community as far as African Americans, especially young men, in order for us to create that wealth disparity that's out there and to kind of bring that divide in, which is extremely important.
Yes. And let me know if you two can kind of chime in on this or if you agree or disagree. I read Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I read Robert Kiyosaki's Guide to Investing, and he has this cash flow quadrant, EBSI, entrepreneur, business owner, investor, and self-employed. And I really wish I could have got exposed to Rich Dad, Poor Dad in my teens, because it's a different way of, like Dante would say, that mindset. And then as you're saying, well, if savings is not just my only thing, I have one tier to put money away, then I got another tier to put money away. Like you said, with the small businesses, Mr. Vaughn. And I would kind of like for y'all to kind of chime in a little bit on that, because how do we get access to capital and how do we make our capital work?
That's a good one. So I take that one, being in the financial industry that I'm in and seeing small businesses each and every day. So I encounter plenty of people that come in and they, of course, they want a small business loan, but I think more so of understanding their unique business as it is and understanding what it takes for cash flow is extremely important. No, you can't walk into a bank and expect to get $100,000 because if you haven't been in business for 2 years or more, you may not get funding from a financial institution. But more importantly, I think it starts from a perspective of understanding, how do I start my business? What is my business? Having that niche for your business, going to a financial institution that's going to invest in that small business owner. And when I say invest, not open up a business account, not open up a savings account, but really understand the needs that you have as a small business owner and how they can help you succeed and grow, not in the now, but also too in the future. And I think the other part of that is really the educational piece. I'm going to keep coming back to this because it's important around credit, right? So credit is extremely, extremely important also on the personal side, but also too on the business side. So when we think about creating capital and having access to capital, it's having cash flow. It's the educational piece around credit and understanding how credit works and how you can go to different lenders to use that monopolization, what I call, to have financing for whatever projects that you're trying to accomplish or cash flow needs that you have for your small business.
So I'm definitely echoing that. I would add to it and say salesmanship and storytelling. Like oftentimes, especially in our community, we think just because we have a decent product, like it's going to sell itself. So I think like a level of salesmanship and understanding like coalition building. One, we have to know where to look for funds. And then we have to think about the psychology of, okay, what would make this person invest in what I have going on anyway, when the market might be oversaturated with a lot of ideas that are similar to yours. So why would they choose you? Why would they pick, your story if you're not conveying it in a way that's inspiring? Why would somebody latch on to your dream? So I think really, because everybody gets kind of terrified of when you're saying salesman and how do you sell something, and we think about somebody calling you and just getting hung up on 1,000 times, but that's really the dirty work. But that skill set is like transformative when you're talking about building capital, especially financial capital, and especially when you don't have the financial capital and you're trying to persuade someone to join forces with you. So I think like thinking about that, man, understanding your story and understanding conveying it in a way that's meaningful, but that someone will want to be a part of as well. So definitely salesmanship and storytelling.
Yes. there's a psychology to sales, and I want to kind of like just jump into this for just a second, just to throw some stuff out there, and then I can give you two closing comments. When I say Kevin Samuels and finance and romance, I'm not endorsing him in any way. I'm just using that in a comical perspective. But you can glean nuggets from anybody, and he says that a lot of times for Black women, they want a Black man to make six figures, but statistics show that the average Black man makes less than $40,000 a year. And he's never, like, there has to be something, rapid, revolutionary to take the status quo for the earning potential of Black men from 40,000 and just rapidly shift it to six figures. And like I said, it's kind of like they're shooting for a goal that they're not going to hit. You know what I mean? And if we're not exposing them to, like Mr. Vaughn said, with the education aspect of it, as to this is things that you can do to help stack money, get compound interest, and things of that nature. Another thing is, I believe that we deal with a lot of instant gratification. I also own a business, and there's no way that I can see me hitting $1 million in 1 year and then it being sustained, because it typically takes about 5 to 6 years before you see that sustainable trend and pattern, and then it kind of grows from there as far as long-term sustainability. So, I mean, and y'all can let me know if y'all see that from your perspective and your lived experiences, but that's something I see a lot of folks don't have, that delayed gratification aspect, to where I'm going to work through these trends and these, setbacks or whatever to really hit my peak performance. And then going back to Carter G. Woodson and his book, The Miseducation of the Negro, Dante, he says that when you teach a Black man how to sell, he'll never be unemployed. And so basically facts tell, but stories sell. And that is something that I don't think that we actually teach, is how to be able to distribute a product, a service, or a skill in a proper aspect. And I'm gonna pull back, and I'm gonna let y'all get closing comments, Mr. Vaughn and then Dante, and then we're gonna move on to our next topic.
Yeah. So Mr. Hicks, you just alluded to it. So I think first of all, let me just say this. So the comment of men making a certain amount of dollars that women are looking for, that is definitely a true myth and legend. And I can tell you amongst
she liked me for my smile.
Hey, if she likes you for the smile, she'll keep her, because money comes and go. But
I'm messing with
but I will say this.
Miss Cat said that discipline is the key. She just put discipline is the key. Keep going.
Discipline is definitely the key, but I also think too, for closing comments, I just really think that as African Americans, instant gratification, we're all looking for that instant. I opened up a small business, but what's your plan? What's your 1 to 3 year plan? Most businesses within the first 1 to 3 years, they fail. Unfortunately, over 50% of businesses fail. Having a plan, executing that plan, staying disciplined is very, very important. Also, too, the other side of that is know your history, know your research, know your product. Like Dante said, be able to sell your product better than nobody else that can sell it. Nobody can do you better. It's your product. Own it. And then next thing after that, marketing. Marketing is important. You got to have something marketable to market to the people. What is your niche? Why do I want to buy it? Why do consumers want to take advantage of it? And that's the biggest thing I would say for small business owners that are looking to get ahead and get advanced and have somebody invest in them, as well as even a financial institution. Because if you come to me, I want to know your story. Tell me about your small business. Tell me about your cash flow. Tell me about how long you've been in business. Do you have any industry experience in this particular business? And then from there, we can have an even deeper conversation.
Love it. Mr. Dante.
Man, mine's like really short and sweet. Is like we don't do a good job of putting like how much fun and how interesting it is on this side, where the opposition, if we can say the opposition or the alternative lifestyles, are having a very good time. So I think when we communicate like our like woes and like struggles and how hard it is to get here, we gotta also we gotta couple that with like, no, this is actually like fun. Like you're gonna have a meaningful life. Life is going to be fulfilling as well. That's going to draw people in. Like when you're talking about selling, if it's boring, I'm not trying to be a part of it. Like if being intelligent is like boring, like why would I want to do that? Like all the cool people are doing something else. So I think we have to do a better job of putting out a like comprehensive view of, you know, what this thing really is about. What is being noble and honorable and respectful and disciplined? What does that really look like? And what would be the fruits of my labor if I did that? Because I see what the basketball players are doing, and I see what the rappers are doing. I see what, you know, I see what everybody else, I see what they're doing in the streets. I see where their money is going, and that's looking really fun. Their life is fulfilled with what they believe fulfillment is. And then everybody else, you know, I might see Nashawn, he gives me some encouraging words, but I don't, how much fun is he having? Or is his life really, is it a good life? Will I die and I feel like I live well? And I don't think we do a good job, or we can certainly do a better job of putting that on display of what nobility, honor, respect, you know, looks like, and what it can feel like, and what it can do as far as changing somebody's life if they live that way.
Yes, yes. Mr. Dante, you said something earlier about the mindset. I held this book up while you were talking. This is Think and Grow Rich, a Black choice. This is not Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, but Napoleon Hill actually inspired this book, and he authorized Dr. Dennis Kimbrough to write this for Black people because he said that they weren't getting the proper information and education to have the mind to actually think and grow rich. And I'm just going to sum up what you were saying with enthusiasm. There's so much enthusiasm because, like, let's just be honest. I'm like a lion every morning. You know what I mean? I'm trying to get it. You know what I mean? Like, we got to eat. You know, so these are, you know, just looking at it from other Black men under extreme circumstances, redlining. They didn't have access to credit. They didn't have access to land. They didn't have group survival, but they had a mindset to win and keep pushing. So I would highly recommend this. And then with Mr. Vaughn, it took me a minute to read this book by Tom Peters. It's called Liberation Management. And with a lot of businesses and Fortune 500 companies, one of the reasons why they stay ahead is because of the R&D, the research and development. Research and development. And typically we don't have the disposable resources to get the research and the development to know our data, to be able to compete on a global level, not just on a local level, but on a global level. And like I said, we have more time at the end. I would love to revisit this. And I got to give a shout out to Doc Stanley Scott, who's the president for the African American Economic Recovery Think Tank, because every time we talk, he always hits me with this question: what's your value proposition? What's your value proposition? What do you bring to our city? What do you bring to our community? And I'm moving on to our next topic, which is character. And I love this brother right here. He's a Zulu warrior. Mr. Obi, how you doing on tonight?
I'm doing all right, Dr. Nix. Pleasure to be here.
Yes, yes. You suited and booted and everything. So talk to us about character. What does character look like for you? And congratulations on your new appointment as the president of the Perkins Law Group. Did I say that right?
The D.W. Perkins Bar Association.
Yes, yeah, I want to get all the little acronyms right. The D.W. Perkins Law
Bar,
Association.
you know, like the bar.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So talk to us about character and how character has been vital in your current role and position.
I think, well, character is what everyone sees in you. It's what you project, right? In my position, character is what I bring around with me, either to the courthouse or when I'm meeting with my clients, or in my position as the president of the Bar Association, what I project to my constituents and to the community at large. Am I projecting, something that, and it also ties back to leadership, if you want to say. Am I projecting myself in such a way that people will follow me and help me execute a vision?
Mhm.
They're only going to do that if they see that they see my character and see positivity
Yes. And so for your character, where did you find like your inspiration or your models? What kind of helped you kind of sharpen your skill sets with the Esquire Law Group and things of that nature? Like what like how do you become more polished in your character per se?
there. Just understanding that there's nothing new under the sun. It's been done before. I have plenty of mentors that I've looked up to and still look up to, and I follow their example. That's the major key to forging my own path is following in the footsteps of those who came before me, and not having the audacity to think that I'm innovating in that regard.
Mhm. Yes. And basically, they say one way that you can estimate your value is by the people you associate with or hang around. For example, I heard somebody said if you got 9 broke friends and then you step in, you're gonna be number 10 because you can kind of judge your character by the people you associate with. For especially for our younger listeners and viewers, how true is that statement from your lived experience?
I don't want to get too deep into my lived
Oh,
experience.
and I want to put
I
out there, Obi is a West Sider. You know what I mean? You know, my man is from LA, by the way. So don't let this suit fool you. I'm just gonna put that out there. But keep going.
you kind of hitting the nail on the head, and it's not there's certain associations that where I'm from, a lot of people tend to have, and it may be right for the moment, but at some point you got to understand that as your life changes, your associations should change as well. So when I came to Florida and thankfully became a member of the Florida Bar, my life changed, and now suddenly the people that I associate myself with have to be, among others, people that are also members of the Florida Bar, that have good character, and that in whose footsteps that I can follow. And it's a part of growth, and it's certainly a part of success.
Yes, yes, and thank you for sharing that with us, Obi. Uh, and I'm holding up this book. Um, it's the Mixed Up
Got that.
Chameleon by Eric Hall. If you have children, I strongly recommend that you get it. It's an easy read. Whenever I'm asked to speak at elementary schools, middle schools, colleges, I take this children's book with me because I look at the psychology that we're just an older version of our younger self. You understand? And um, and this chameleon goes to the zoo and it sees the flamingo and then it wants pink wings, and then it sees the elephant, then it wants a long trunk. So you got pink wings, a long trunk, and then it sees a man with a hat and it wants the hat. Then it basically every animal that it liked, it adapted to be like that animal while also possessing other characteristics. And by the end of the story, this chameleon says, I just want to be myself. I just want to be myself. And I believe that I've had so much personal success because I'm always my authentic self. And I believe that other people, when you tap into who you genuinely are and not who you portray to be, so to speak, not saying we don't have character flaws, when I say authentic, meaning if I'm happy, I'm happy. You know, if I need help, I have no question asking because I don't know. I'm seeking information, you know, and I can't speak for you all and your living conditions, but growing up. But for me, I was telling one of the children today, I said, when I would ask my mama how to spell a word, she would tell me go look it up in the dictionary. So it would almost be a discourager to want to ask for help because it's like, well, I'm just going to send you right back to this, send you right back to that. And it's okay to ask for help. And when you have mentors and people that you look up to as role models, it's okay to ask them for help or ask them how did they achieve what they had or what they've acquired. And you'll notice that they don't have too many character hiccups. They're consistent about who they are. They're the same way on Monday, Tuesday, Saturday, Friday, Sunday. They're the same way every day. And I believe that if we hold on to those inner attributes, I believe that we would see a greater appreciation. Meaning that when we are our authentic selves, I believe it puts you in places you'll never believe that you would be in, because people want you. They want the best version of you.
Nashawn,
And I think yes.
I certainly absolutely agree with it. I want us to also put out like that's an exploration. You know what I mean? And especially for the younger generation that will be listening to this, and even adults, like that's an exploration of you're really asking and interrogating, you know, yourself on why do I believe this way? Why do I think this way? And where do I envision myself? Because if you're thinking about it like yourself today, but then yourself tomorrow and 5 years from now, like where would you want to see yourself go? And I think if you sit with yourself and actually try to craft that line and that pathway, then you'll begin to see whether this attribute or this quality is something that you should bring, or this attribute or quality that you possess, you might need to, you know, ditch and put to the side or grow from and evolve from. So I want us to also encourage that exploration and understand that that's part of the process too. Like I'm from out East Florida. I'm from 21st and Phoenix. There were a lot of
So hold on. Is that out east or is that east side? Is that out east or east side?
That's out east. That's out east.
Out east.
I had to put on those different masks, but then at some point that self-awareness has to kick in to say, why do I believe this way? Or is this something that I really want for my life? And then you make adjustments if you're really serious about it or not. So I want to put that out as well, because it's just not like going to spring up on you in one day. Like, oh, I'm my authentic self. That thing going to take some work. It's going to take a lot of work. So I just wanted to put that out there as well.
Yeah, and I appreciate you bringing that out because, and I didn't use the term mask because and to be honest with you, I had to do a deep dive as far as research to what masks were. Like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? And understand that sometimes people, they put on a mask or a front or a cover, and they're not being their authentic self. And you're right, it does take work. And we all have blind spots. But when you have a core group of people that have your best interest, they're there to help you when it comes to your blind spots to make sure you stay on the right track. And yes, I love it. I love it. And now we're shifting to our fourth topic, which is professional development. And what I have right here is I'd like to hear from Mr. Vaughn, Mr. Khalifa, Mr. Obi again, pertaining to professional development. What was your first job? And do you still use what you learned from your first job today? Mr. Vaughn, you smiling. I want to know what your first job. Man, my mama had me washing cars. Go ahead.
All right, so my very first job, 16 years old, I was going to Rains High School at the time, was working at a golf course, a well-known golf course, Timaquana Golf and Country Club. Washing golf carts, picking up range balls. And at that young age at 16, it taught me a lot of things. One, it taught me how to be around a certain group of people. And I say that for a reason because being from where I'm from, I know Dante said he's from out east, but I'm from Moncrief area. So being out Moncrief area and you know, being in that environment and then going to a totally different environment taught me a lot. But more so of networking and just seeing different things. I know Dante earlier talked about having that vision, right? So having that exploration phase where we can envision ourselves much ahead. But for myself, it started at that young age, and I kind of progressed to where I am now. And I look at myself at the age I am and the things I'm doing for this corporation. Starting off at Wachovia Bank 12 years ago, starting off as a part-time teller, to now being what I'm doing in the community and for our company organization has taught me a lot about self-development. The biggest thing also has taught me about is my brand. So you talked about being your authentic self. That's the important part, being who you are, right? So in the beginning, we're all going to have that mask. We're all going to have that frontal on, right? We want to project a certain way, but people love you. People love you for who you are, and they can see it, right? They can vibe it, and your passion speaks for itself. So I think that's really important as far from a branding standpoint.
How do you encourage or empower men to be their authentic self, especially ones that may believe that they are only destined for certain things? This comes from Krista Merrick's, and we've been getting all types of feedback. Mr. President Camus said he's really enjoying this dialogue. Stephen Spurlock said that he loves it, and but going into professional development and being your authentic self, can one of you guys, Khalifa or Obi, can y'all jump on that for me, please? And tying it into professional development. Khalifa, you on mute. You're still on mute.
Sorry about that. All right. So I think the first thing that you have to know is you have to believe in yourself and you have to love yourself. The world is always going to change. Your friends are always going to come. They're always going to go. You have to be comfortable within yourself. Don't let social media, don't let other influencers, so I hear these words online that we're so used to and we embrace right now, like influencers and followers, and you have friends, but you don't even know who they are. When I hear all those things, it just puts you in the ideal that you cannot be yourself, so you got to get away from that. You got to look in the mirror. You have to embrace who you are, regardless of what you do. And then from there, then you can tap into what you're really good at. And what you're good at, who cares what other people think? That's your talent. That's what you're good at. You may not be good at cooking. You may not be good at track. You don't see one person in high school that's playing every single sport because they pick one thing that they're good at, that they enjoy. And that's their identity. You have to live that in the real world based off of what career or whatever that you want to go into. And it's okay to change your mind. There's nothing wrong with that, but you just can't be influenced by other people. Now, how does that tie into empowerment? You're empowering yourself. Okay. Before you start thinking about what other people are doing and how you can empower others, empower yourself first. Look in the mirror, feel confident in everything that you do. Make solid decisions, deal with the consequences in the decision, and know that the world is not going to end. It's a mistake if it doesn't go the way that it went, and you learn from it, and then you just keep on moving. But I think that's how you can be yourself, and don't worry about others. And I think right now we in an environment, in an atmosphere that there are spaces that allow us to be ourselves a little bit more than it was 10, 15, or even 20 years ago.
Thank you. You kind of hit a couple of questions in one, Khalifa. I'm about to jump over to Obi because I want to know what your first job was. Who were you debating? I want to know when you found out. I want to know, Obi, when did you know that law was your path? Like what was your first job and how do you use it now?
Well, nobody's going to want to hear this. It's nothing exciting. My first legitimate job, I was out of high school before college. I was working at the Los Angeles International Airport, commonly known as LAX. I was a baggage handler. I mean, that part is easy enough. The problem, though, for me as an 18-year-old coming into that was that the shift was Tuesdays to Sunday from 3 a.m. to 12 noon. And so, that's hard on an 18-year-old. And this is at the height. It's important to note that this is at the height of post 9/11 terrorism awareness. And so everyone at the airport, anyone who's working for an airport, was required to remain vigilant and all that jazz, and go through some rigorous training. So let me just skip to the firing. So I was working one day, and I decided that even though I started work at 3 a.m., I still wanted to party and all that kind of stuff. And so there was a lot of Saturdays and Sundays where I would come in with no sleep. And so there was a time where I fell asleep standing up at the airport. And of course, I was fired immediately on the spot. And so, I learned a very hard lesson about getting my priorities together, and also taking my job seriously. I learned that lesson very early. So that's my first job. It's my first termination. And immediately after I got fired from that job, in the same office building, I walked in and applied for another one, in a completely different field. I won't get into what it was, and I got that job. So I also learned something about just continuing on and moving on to the next thing, and not letting setbacks get to me.
All right, and last question, Obi. So how did you have a mentor that encouraged you to pursue law, or how did that work? Or did this fall in your family? Like how did that work?
Well, so I grew up in a Nigerian household, Nigerian community in Los Angeles, and we have what we call the holy trinity of doctor, lawyer, engineer. That's all the parents, that's all the community wants us to be. And honestly, I just fell naturally into law because my academic strengths just happened to fit that particular area. So it was the process of elimination. Doctor wasn't good for me. Engineering wasn't good for me. So I fell into law, but I ended up liking it. I shadowed lawyers. That's all I've been doing ever since college, is just taking every opportunity I can get to shadow a lawyer, to ask them about what they do. Thankfully, lawyers, I think a lot of professionals love to talk about what they do. And so it was always very easy to find someone, and then just, it's almost like pushing a button. You say, hey, what do you do? And how can I do it? And they will sound off, and you just got to soak it all in.
Yes. And now, and I please forgive me, because I got to go over to Mr. Vaughn pertaining to professional development as well. If you can kind of talk to us a little bit about what books, podcasts, TV shows, etc., would be great for professional development. So I'm reaching out to you for resource references for professional development, Mr. Vaughn.
Yeah, so a book that comes to my mind would be John C. Maxwell, and it's more about leadership. But I think also too, it's about creating your brand and professional development is situational leadership. 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. And in John C. Maxwell book, he talks about how he started from a very young age working in a factory to where he is now, doing all these TED Talks and motivating and working for corporate Fortune 500 companies and the mass people. So I definitely think John C. Maxwell is a great author. 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership is very, very important. Sorry, my ear pods are not staying in. But I would highly recommend that book for professional development for anybody, whether you're in corporate America or not, just for intrigue purposes of understanding how important it is for you to create your brand, for you to know what your brand is. Believe it or not, every day that we put on our shoes and we walk outside, we are our brand. We may not be Nike, we may not be Reebok or any other the different brands that are out there. But how do we represent ourselves, and how do most importantly people see us? Image is important, right? So how are we projecting ourselves to people that we come in contact to each and every day? And then something else that I would say around the professional development, which is very important. I think about myself, and I think each of us, we have people in our lives that have been able to at some point hone us in, right? Because it's like a car, right? Sometimes we can swerve off the road, but we got that one mentor, family member, friend, whoever it may be, associate that says, "Hey, man, keep focused. You're on the right track." I would just challenge any African American male. If you see a young person, talk to that young person, inspire that young person, encourage that young person. Listen. Listening is important. Understanding them as a person is very, very important. I don't think oftentimes from a professional standpoint or from a community standpoint, meaning the African American community, are we listening to each other? It's easy for us to say what we're not doing and what we should be doing, but are we understanding their story? So it's interesting to hear Obi's story. It's interesting to hear Dante's story. We each have a story that have led us to this point in our lives that we are. And we all have a turning point. I know I definitely do as well, because I could have went multiple directions with what I was exposed to at a young age. But I chose to come on in, and I had people that helped me and that talked to me and allowed me to see different things. And it goes back to that vision that allowed me to be able to dream, and to dream at a young age to where the things that I'm doing and the things I want to do in the future to help more young brothers be successful in whatever it is they may want to be, whether it's education, whether it's being an attorney, doctor, business owner, being the best dad, being the best brother. I think it's very, very important.
Yes, thank you for those recommendations. Thank you. And Chris Merrick's came back with times are different, resources are not the same in the digital age. Do you all feel like mentors today really connect to impressionable young men? How can we push them to be more like y'all? I'm going to have to trail in, and we're going to bring that one into mental with Dante, which is topic number 5. And I'm because this term called zeitgeist is like something that you see, it registers, and it stays in your mind, and then it almost brings about a connection point. And I've kind of like this. I'm not knocking them, but I kind of like, thank God I'm not walking around with a dog collar all day, every day, because I loved DMX as a kid. And, but Dante, times are different. So, how do we mentor our youth today and tap into their psyche to help them be the best version of their self? And please forgive me for modifying that, because I don't necessarily want anybody to be like me. I'm always pushing for them to be the best version of their self. So please forgive me, Ms. Krista, for shifting that a little bit, because I'm always trying to reaffirm who that person is as an individual. So please forgive me for modifying your question. So Dante, how do we help people who may identify with something, but at the same time help them become the best version of them, of the self?
One thing I would rest on the premise is like, I can only provide you with the resources and the tools to like look and empower yourself. But I can't create, what I think your life end goal should be. And I think that's important, because sometimes we'll say, I think earlier, 6-figure jobs is success. And that might not be what somebody's success is. So I think it's reframing, those type of conversations. Really, honestly, what mentoring is only a relationship, reframing what that relationship is and providing people with the tools that they can use to liberate themselves. So if you're talking about self-reflection, journaling, things of that nature, that they can see, they can look inward and then start to ask themselves those critical questions and say, okay, success for me is $60,000 doing something that I passionately enjoy, waking up every day. And, Dante Jennings being my mentor, making 6 figures, is cool. Or, my surrounding network is that if they don't want to do that, that's okay. But they're pursuing something meaningful and leaning into responsibility and living life with intentionality. Those things there, I think, are vitally important. So I think just reframing what that relationship looks like, which means that we have to live that thing as well, like as men. So people are going to people are going to know when you're not being your authentic self. And if I say, hey, you should read books, and I never see you with a book, I'm going to start questioning things. So I would say above all, reframing what that relationship is and what those conversations are, and tying things back into, those intangibles, being noble, being just, and what that looks like, but giving people the tools to empower really themselves and create the life that they want for themselves, and not us defining what that is for them.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And now please keep in mind, we're talking pertaining to, we shifted to mental health now and physical health. I read this book by, I believe the author's name is Daniel Jung. It's called Tribe, Tribe. It may be Tribal, Tribal, but the more story is that he talks about self-determination. Mm-hmm. And with self-determination, I kind of modified it to 3 C's, which is confidence, competence, and community. Meaning that when you look at your mental health and your overall like a sense of purpose, sense of value, you got to have confidence, right? And then competence is like, what am I good at? What do I bring to the table? What do I bring to the community? Like everybody, there's got to be something that you're good at. I don't care. It's got to be something. And if you don't know what you're good at, if you work at it hard enough, you will become good at it, right? And then the third thing is community. You got to have somebody that you can share with. You got to have somebody that you can connect with. I'm so glad that we have a community where we can reach out to a Councilman Terrence Freeman. We have a community where we can reach out to a Mr. Von Wingham. We have a community where we can reach out to Mr. Obi. We have a community where we can reach out to a Khalifa. We have a community where we can reach out to a Dante, and like I said, we can all share in each other's success without minimizing our individual success. Does that make sense, Dante?
It makes perfect sense. Your light doesn't diminish mine, and if we encourage that more and live that more, absolutely, I think it'll be imprinted in young people's minds and adults. I can't really miss us, because what's good for the young is usually good for the old as well. So I certainly agree with that. I do.
Yes. And like I said, I'm not a psychology major, but I do know that there's certain like endorphins and cytosine and things that are released in the brain through physical activity. Me personally, I'm a martial artist. And people say, well, what belt are you? And I'm like, I don't know. But if you want to know my skill set, you come on over here to the building. We go on upstairs and we go see what we can do. And it happens. I have some folks, I ain't going to tell y'all nobody who been wanting to see what your boy can do, but it is what it is. But the moral of the story is what I've learned, Dante, especially when it comes to like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, there is no undefeated Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner. Because the way that you learn is through submission. The way that you learn is through submission. And everybody has to tap at some time. And everybody experiences loss. God bless his soul, Bishop James Brandt. I'm in a movie called Fight Church. And as a lot of young black males, I was watching the film, and they saw me winning, right? And a lot of the youth are EBD and ODD. And Bishop Brandt pulled me aside and he said, Nix, these young men see you winning, but we need you to teach them how to lose. Mm-hmm. Because they know how to win, but they don't know how to lose. And when they do, they are killing each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's one of my passions is every time I see the news here in Jacksonville and I see a 13-year-old, 14-year-old, 15-year-old, and 9 times out of 10, I think in 2018, there were 140 homicides in Jacksonville. 100 out of the 140 homicides were Black. Now, it wouldn't, like, I'm just saying, it's overwhelming. I haven't looked at the data lately, but it was like consecutive triple digit murders. And this wasn't police killing Black folks. This was us killing each other. And I use us as a generalization because I'm not taking me out of the problem, because I feel like there's some more people that I could have touched, because there's got to be something within our community that we haven't showed them that they're a part of the whole too. And I'm sharing this with you all publicly as well. We surveyed 60 youth for their top 3 concerns. Number 1 was death and dying. And this is 32206, which is the Urban Core Health Zone 1 here in Jacksonville. Their number 1 concern was death and dying. Number 2 was making money. And then number 3 was a tie for police interactions. And then it was grades in school. So nobody had school like my number 1 concern. It was death and dying, making money, and then police interactions. And that lets us know that there has to be a high level criminality that is a mentality that we have to work on. It's something that we have to address. And Dante, I'm reaching out to you as well as the rest of the panel. How do we shift that mindset? How do we take out that criminal mindset and say, look, you can think and grow rich?
It's that relationship with success and failure, particularly failure. And you talked about, I love neuroscience. So when you talk about why negative emotions linger and have so much intensity, because the consequence could normally be death in any other situation. So positive emotions, the best consequence in that regard is just that I live another day, which, okay, I get to live another day, and that's not as bad as dying. So I'm going to make sure that I remember any circumstance and the circumstance that lead up to protecting me from dying and death. And then I have to meet that with equal force to ensure that I am living. And living in that type of high stress environment, one, when you talk about the human psyche, is damaging enough. If you're always in fight, flight, or freeze, like your body's an overhaul. So I think is understanding and one displaying what that relationship with failure looks like, and that you're going to fail and fail often. And that's actually the path to success and meaningful living. And like, you're not going to evade it. And that you're going to be very stressed out if you try to construct or build a life that tries to evade failure. You're going to always try to push back, and it's going to win. And you're going to crack at some point because it's inevitable. Like, life is built like that. And so if we address how we come at failure, how we look at failure and display failure, because on social media, everybody dolled up. These your best days all the time. And so I'm chasing that. I never knew about, I'm taking a picture. You was driving a hoopty. You never took a picture in your hoopty. You upgraded to the Benz, and now you take all the pictures in front of your Benz. So damn, I'm supposed to be driving a Benz, and that's the only time that I'm successful. Not that you bust your behind for the 6 years to get there. Not that it broke down and you had to. So just reframing how we interact with failure is going to be vitally important, man. And you talk about mental health. Oh my gosh, we could talk all day about that.
Yes. Listen, this has to be a follow-up. I'm going to give you all 30 seconds just to kind of call out your handles. So that way, if somebody wanted to reach out to you for a speaking engagement or for some other event, I want to make sure that they know how to contact you. I'm going to start with Khalif. 20 to 30 seconds, please.
All right, my name is Khalif J. You can reach me at in Facebook Messenger or reach me through Facebook. On Instagram, the name is PH Jax. Just get at me. I can help you out with anything that you can come up with.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Vaughn.
All right, my name is Vaughn Windman. If you want to Get at me financially. You can reach me at bwinman@yahoo.com. I do want to say this real quick. Khalifa, Dr. Hicks, Dante, and Obi, from a brother to another brother, I'm proud of y'all. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. Obi, how do we reserve your services? What's your retainer? No, just your handle. Just your handle. No retainer. Just your handle.
My handle at I believe Instagram and perhaps Facebook as well is Obi the Lawyer. And I don't let the suit fool you. I'm very approachable. They're not your average. And I'm not from here. I'm from Los Angeles. And anybody who knows me knows that I'm approachable. Please get at me. I love to talk about where I'm from and what I'm doing.
Yes, Mr. Dante Jennings.
Dante Jennings on Instagram is BE Dante Jennings. On Twitter is BE Dante Jennings as well. Like Vaughn just said, hey brothers, I see you, I feel you, I love y'all, and above all, pursue that which is meaningful. So that's it.
Yes. Now, for those of you that may not know, Dr. Nashawn Nix, CEO of the First Coast Leadership Foundation, right here in Jacksonville, Florida. This is what we're all about, helping to shift our city streets from battlegrounds to playgrounds. We're always looking for mentors and mentees. Please visit our website, fclfjax.org, fclfjax.org. Listen, we have a great facility right here in the urban core, 2049 North Pearl Street, Jacksonville, Florida, 32206. And I want to give you a tour of what we're doing in the urban core. We're building out our business incubator. We have a wonderful facility, conference room that's free to the public, so where we can have a meeting of the minds, so where we can get ahead of problems instead of being reactionary to the problems. As my father would say, we like to prefix and not suffix. Dr. Jawanza Kunjufu says it like this: that which you do most is that which you do best. Let's continue to build. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening. And thank you to all of our amazing panelists. Thank you, because I know that you bless so many through your words and your actions. And please follow them, find their pages, like, subscribe, and follow up with them. And once again, thank you so much for this opportunity. And thank you all for being present.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.